Friends, as we've seen in the previous videos, the ocean was once treated as a living map of danger. Not because people imagined monsters, but because they encountered things they couldn't explain. Before sonar, before satellites, before underwater cameras, sailors relied on patterns. If something appeared once, it was dismissed. If it appeared again, it was noted. But when it appeared across centuries, cultures, and oceans, it became real. In Part 1, we explored creatures whose records faded with early science. In Part 2, we followed legends that lingered into modern documentation. Today, we go further, because even as belief weakened, there were still sea creatures that refused to vanish quietly. Their names were removed from maps, their warnings erased from manuals, but their records remained. So today, this is Part 3. 8 mythological sea creatures once documented as real maritime threats, and the final moments when the world stopped believing they existed. Let's continue. Number 8. Jormungandr, the world serpent. Our first creature comes from Norse naval records and early North Atlantic maps. Jormungandr was described not as a monster, but as a boundary. A colossal serpent believed to encircle the known world beneath the sea. Early Scandinavian sailors recorded sightings of immense coils breaking the surface, stretching farther than the eye could follow. Some accounts describe ships sailing for hours alongside what appeared to be a continuous ridge of flesh beneath the waves. What made these reports unusual was scale. Sailors didn't describe an attack. They described being dwarfed. Several 12th century ship logs mention sudden swells rising in calm waters, followed by the sensation of the ocean tightening, as if something beneath the surface had shifted position. Sailors expanded on this sensation in unsettling detail. They described the sea behaving less like moving water and more like a living surface under tension. Waves didn't crash. They rose slowly, stretching outward in long arcs before collapsing all at once. Some crews reported hearing deep, rolling sounds beneath their ships, not loud enough to be called noise, but strong enough to vibrate through wooden hulls. What troubled navigators most was duration. These conditions didn't last minutes, they lasted hours. Ships continued forward while the disturbance remained alongside them, as if they were traveling next to something immense that chose not to surface fully. No storms followed. No damage was recorded. Only the shared conclusion that something vast had shifted its position beneath the sea. As global mapping improved and the curvature of the Earth became understood, belief in a world-encircling serpent faded. But early records didn't vanish. They were reclassified. Jormungandr disappeared not because it was disproven, but because the world grew too large for it to exist. Number 7. Bakunoa. Our next creature appears in Southeast Asian maritime records, particularly from the Philippines. Bakunoa was described as a massive sea serpent associated with sudden darkness, violent tides, and disappearing vessels. Sailors believed Bakunoa moved between deep waters and coastlines, causing abrupt changes in current direction. Several logs described nights when the sea grew unnaturally still, followed by chaotic movement minutes later. What unsettled early navigators was timing. Bakunoa sightings often coincided with eclipses, moonless nights, and navigation failures. In multiple accounts, ships reported losing sight of the horizon entirely, as if light itself had been swallowed. Multiple ship logs described crews reacting not with panic, but with confusion. Compasses failed. Stars vanished. Familiar coastal markers could no longer be identified. Some sailors wrote that the sea appeared to pull inward, drawing water away from the hull before releasing it in violent surges. What made these incidents especially disturbing was duration. The darkness did not pass quickly, nor did it follow predictable patterns. Ships sometimes remained disoriented for hours after the event ended, with currents carrying them far off known routes. Early navigators did not record these encounters as celestial events. They recorded them as movements, something beneath the water, disrupting both sea and sky at once. As astronomy advanced and eclipses were understood, Bakunoa was removed from official explanations. But early records still describe something moving beneath the ships, not above them. Bakunoa didn't disappear. It was replaced by calculations. Number 6. Scylla. Scylla was not recorded as a myth. It was recorded as a location hazard. Ancient Mediterranean navigational guides warned sailors of narrow straits where ships vanished without warning. Survivors described massive shapes emerging from rock walls, followed by sudden loss of crew. Scylla was described less as a single creature and more as a living obstacle embedded within the coastline itself. Multiple navigational accounts describe Scylla encounters as sudden and mechanical rather than violent. Crews reported no warning signs, no storms, no change in wind, only rapid movement from the rock face itself. Survivors often could not explain what had happened, only that men were taken upward and never seen again. Some logs mention claw-like impressions left in ship hulls, while others describe ropes going slack instantly, as if severed cleanly. What disturbed ancient sailors most was precision. The ship survived. The sea remained calm. Only specific sections of the deck were affected. What's striking is consistency. Greek, Roman, and Phoenician records all describe the same danger in the same waters. As modern shipping routes widened and coastal mapping improved, Scylla reports stopped entirely. Not disproven, simply bypassed. Number 5. Charybdis. Often mentioned alongside Scylla, Charybdis was treated as a living whirlpool. Naval records describe calm waters suddenly collapsing inward, pulling ships down without visible waves or storms. What made Charybdis terrifying was predictability. Sailors recorded it appearing at specific times of day and tide cycles, as if it followed a rhythm. Several logs describe the sea lowering several feet before rushing back violently, behavior no known weather pattern explained at the time. Surviving ship logs describe Charybdis as something that behaved with precision rather than chaos. Crews wrote that the sea would withdraw in a wide circular area, exposing rocks and seabed normally hidden beneath the surface. Minutes later, the water surged back inward with overwhelming force. Anchors snapped. Rudders failed. Smaller vessels were pulled under completely, leaving no wreckage behind. What troubled navigators most was repetition. The same coordinates produced the same behavior across years and generations. As oceanography advanced, whirlpools and tidal vortices became understood. Charybdis was removed from charts. But for centuries, sailors didn't fear water. They feared what controlled it. Number 4. Cadborosaurus. Cadborosaurus appears in 19th and 20th century naval reports from the Pacific Northwest. Unlike older legends, these sightings came from trained observers, fishermen, coast guards, and military personnel. Witnesses described a long-bodied creature with a horse-like head, segmented spine, and vertical movement inconsistent with known marine animals. Several reports note the creature surfacing parallel to ships, maintaining distance, then diving vertically without leaving a wake. What disturbed authorities was repetition. Sightings occurred decades apart, yet descriptions matched. Investigators noted that witnesses were experienced navigators familiar with known species. Many explicitly stated that what they observed did not match any cataloged animal. Rather than publicly dismiss the sightings, agencies simply stopped pursuing them. Cadborosaurus faded not through refutation, but through administrative silence. The reports didn't stop. They stopped being filed. Number 3. Stellar's sea ape. Our next creature comes from Cold War-era naval encounters. Stellar's sea ape was described as a humanoid aquatic being capable of keeping pace with submarines. Sonar operators reported contacts that reacted intelligently to vessel movements, adjusting speed and depth without matching known propulsion methods. Similar reports emerged independently from opposing Cold War navies. No explanation was issued. The files simply disappeared. Whether misidentified, misreported, or suppressed, the records stopped. Number 2. Morgar. Morgar was recorded in British coastal sightings well into the 20th century. Fishermen described a serpentine creature with a long neck and slow, deliberate movement. Reports were consistent across decades. No hoaxes were proven. No explanations agreed upon. As media attention faded, Morgar slipped back into obscurity. Not disproven. Ignored. Number 1. The Lusca. Our final creature comes from the Caribbean. The Lusca was blamed for divers and small vessels vanishing near deep ocean blue holes. Witnesses described massive tentacled shapes beneath the surface, far larger than any known octopus. Disappearances clustered around the same locations. No wreckage. No remains. As deep-sea exploration expanded, these incidents were attributed to currents and sinkholes. But early records describe movement, not geography. The Luska faded quietly, without explanation. For most of history, the ocean wasn't empty. It was watched. These creatures may not have existed exactly as described, but the records existed, the belief existed, and the fear was real. As science advanced, the monsters didn't die. They were renamed, redefined, explained. And today, all that remains are the final records, the last sightings, and the moment humanity stopped believing the sea was alive. Thanks for watching.